Hello everyone and welcome to Perpetual Studios here in Clare. I'm here with the very beautiful, very knowledgeable Juliette Bryant.
Hello, and this is Giles Bryant. Now, Giles Bryant was one of the founders of Peace on Your Plate, the song and the movement. And at Vegan Life Live this weekend, I was going to be doing a talk called How to Put Peace on Your Plate, because it's such an important concept that we really look at, that we look at the deeper things of what does it actually mean to put peace on your plate. So that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video.
Peace on your plate this Christmas Day.
Or any day.
Peace on your plate this Christmas Day. That was the idea we came up with, to get people thinking at probably one of the times of the year when people are slaughtering animals the most, to think about putting peace on their plate. But of course, it's not just about Christmas, is it, Juliette? Putting peace on your plate.
It's every day.
Peace on your plate every day, yeah. Sing with me, Juliette. Peace on your plate every day, yeah. So, big love out to the whole Peace on Your Plate crew. Gavin Chapel-Bates, who came up with the original idea for it, and we were on a journey really with it, which is an exciting journey. Recording the next single for Peace on Your Plate, Ask Me Why, Ian Haywood's fantastic song. So yeah, exciting stuff going on, Juliette, and what a subject to talk about. And also lots of love out there to Vegan Life Live and to all the other events that have been cancelled in light of the current situation.
So I think one of the most important things we can do at this time is to put peace on our plate, is to really connect in with the essence of what that means. And for me, this really begins with our personal journey, our personal connection to the earth. It starts with how we view the earth. Because quite often I feel that most people view ourselves as a human race as separate, as beings who are kind of in charge of the earth, who are trampling on the earth. And this is the attitude that a lot of people take with the earth. And for me, putting peace on the plate really starts with how we view the earth, because the earth to me is part of us and we are part of the earth. And ultimately, the earth provides us with nurturing, it provides us with food, it provides us with warmth, it provides us with water. It supports and sustains our life. So to have a peaceful view and a deeper connection to the earth, I think is really, really important.
Our shelter, one thing you missed out there. The earth provides our shelter. It's absolutely hissing down. That's why we thought we were going to be outside, showing you our forest garden that we're developing here and the foods that we're eating from the garden. I think we've seen some of it with your previous video. But yeah, it's a very good point, Juliette. I met these people from this thing called the Vegan Organic Network, and their principles are to put peace on their plate even when they're growing food. So they don't use any animal products in the production of their food, which is a radical idea. We saw people doing this in Oroville, the great spiritual community in South India, where they'd taken a plot of land that would been virtually into desert, grew some plants, and then they could use those for the mulch to grow other plants, and then 40 years later they'd had this food forest.
It's incredible.
So so there's people in the UK doing this. My personal approach is that we should live in harmony, okay? As much as we can, act and think of with peace in our hearts, with love in our hearts for all of our actions. Now, in doing the Peace on Your Plate, I played at 15 concerts all around the country. Took the old guitar, painted the guitar with the band, all around the country singing. So I met so many people at these vegan festivals. I met so many people all over the place, and people come into the concept of putting peace on their plates in different ways. Some people because it makes them feel healthier. I mean, this is a key thing now. You're talking about health. I've followed a plant-based diet for over 20 years, So I have a lot more experience in this field than a lot of these young pups, these new vegans. And one of the things that I have really felt the benefits of throughout that time is the effect on plant nutrition to my immune system and my health. I thought about it the other day, and I thought, in over 20 years, 25 years maybe, I've been to see the doctor 3 times, right? And that's not much of a strain that I've had on the NHS or on the NHS resources, because my system is extremely strong, and that's due to several things. One is the high quality organic food that I eat. I'm fortunate to be married to this lady. The second is the amount of exercise that I do. The third is the steps that I take in my life every day to meditate, to feel at peace, to feel calm, to chant, to sing, beneficial things to manage stress levels. I have clean water. I like being outside. I engage myself with the community. I'm fortunate to have love in my life and gratitude in my life every day. And these things combined have made me so strong. And I'm getting stronger. I'm 45. I'm getting stronger. Absolutely getting stronger. And I'm teaching yoga to people between the age of little kids and old grannies and everyone, doctors and nurses and teachers and all sorts of people. And I teach yoga to so many people. And people are getting stronger. People are getting fit. People in their 80s, they're getting stronger. They're getting more flexible. It's not going the other way. So you can, I think, have foods that are in harmony with your inner being. And I think the most potent food medicine that we have is the food that's all around us in our garden.
Totally.
Well, I was eating some of it the other day, like an animal. Oh. It's so lovely, isn't it? And see it growing.
It is. But I think you touched on something that is a really, really key point. And I think when we look at how we're putting peace on our plate, one of the first things that we have to look at is how our food is being grown, because this is of such fundamental importance. And this is a step that a lot of people don't think about. They think about eating plant-based food, which is great, but they don't think about the fact that actually what is so key is your food being grown organically? If it's not, what's happening is there's pesticides and herbicides that are being used that do a few things. First of all, they kill bugs and creatures that would want to eat that food. So if you're being vegan, the concept of being vegan is to be kind to all living creatures. Well, using pesticides is not very kind to living creatures. Second of all, what these pesticides and herbicides do is they destroy the soil quality. They're destroying the bacterial life that is in the soil, which is imperative to our gut. Now, one of the things that I really feel is so key is that the quality of the soil is equal to the quality of our guts. And our gut is central to our well-being.
Well, I tell you what, people are in trouble. If you want some advice about improving soil, this is the accumulation of my knowledge. I've been learning about this from all sorts of people. I say animal, vegetable, mineral. Okay? So the first thing I've said animal. Oh, the vegans. Oh, pooping in your pants. How many of these vegans are growing their own food? That's what I want to know. I meet thousands of these people talk to me about all these things. How many are actually doing it, having a go? Well, some of you are, and good luck to you. Even on a windowsill, even doing some sprouting, just get involved in the process. It's the best thing you can do, I think, totally. Environmentally, is to grow some of your own food.
Plus, you're getting the energy of fresh food, which when you're using fresh herbs, even as Giles said, if it's just on your windowsill and you pick those fresh herbs and put them on your food or sprouts, then you're getting so much more nutrients, micronutrients. You're also getting more bacteria from that food, good bacteria going in. Because when we pick food, it degenerates in its nutritional quality really quickly.
So when Juliette's talking about the conventional farming, okay, so how it's been 80 odd years is that to maintain soil fertility, to be able to give crops the next year, they put 3 chemicals, 3 minerals back onto the soil. They call it NPK. So that, which is nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. Without these 3 things, nothing grows. But we need about 60 odd minerals for our health. So where's the other? So one of the things that used to be done a lot, you'd have the muck spreading. Where I used to live, it would stink. Oh, it's a good country smell, we were told. So what that was, it was all the poop. I'm saying this. I'm being careful with my language. I want kids to be able to watch this. All the poop, right? All the farms and all this, right? Well, I'll tell you a story. This goes back to the Green Gathering over 20 years ago. Woman stood up and she said, my grandfather was the founder of ICI, and she thought everyone was going to boo her. There's loads of people. This is old school Green Gathering, 20,000 people at the festival. And she said he discovered that we were depleting the soil fertility. This is like over 100 years ago. We needed to do something about it. And so he realised that people had to compost their own poop, because you need to have the manure, the animal manure, if it's your poop or an animal's poop, whatever, for the soil. It's a natural thing for the soil. We've been pooping in the earth for a lot of years. Animals have. It's just part of the soil. But they said the people would not accept it for having human poo being used in this way.
Because it seems dirty, I guess.
Because it's dirty. They'd never accept it. So that guy went home and invented the first chemical fertilisers.
Wow.
Yes. Because he knew, he was a good man, he knew there was a need for it. We've got to do it somehow. Okay, so this is what you've got to do, right? So where does that animal, so these vegan organic people, Juliette, they're saying, oh no, don't use any poo from the...
So how would you do it? Human?
Any poo from the stables. So anyway, we hear this story from David Wolf. It's brilliant. He goes, I don't like to use the animals from the farm, but I go into the woods and I use some elk poop and some raccoon poop, and I put that on. It's just absolutely brilliant.
And so, I suppose you're not caging any animals; they're not being kept in any hostility, you know.
That's
so
just
it's just
a thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's just wild animals, and you're just collecting their poo. So that's quite.
My nana,
in a way, it's a good service, isn't it? Because someone's not going to step in it then.
My nana, right? You lived in Derwent Avenue in Alice Street in Derby, and when the horse and cart came past, and it. You know, it did its business. They'd be out there almost fighting to get it in their shovels to put it on the roses, to mulch the roses with it. It's what people did because they knew it had a nutritional value. Right, animal, vegetable, what you can use.
Food waste.
You can use food waste as a vegetable. You can grow certain crops and use them as fertiliser. So you can intercrop
nettles and
comfrey is very good, but different clover.
That's a stinker as well. It's really good to do. You get nettles and comfrey, and you put them in water in a bucket and leave them, and it gets really stinky. It turns into a
liquid.
It's great feed.
Into a liquid fertiliser.
Seaweed you can also use, can't you?
You can use seaweed. It's good to do things you can do yourselves. And then the other one is a mineral. Okay, so animal, vegetable. You make compost. Make compost from your kitchen waste. We're doing that here. But this is the other thing that people do missing out on. It's animal, vegetable, mineral. You need to put the mineral energy back into the soil. So what we've done on our intensive beds here is we've used this mineral rock dust, which is very high in minerals. Not a lot of it. And we've used it in the compost. It helps to activate the compost. And that's my advice to people. If you want to grow healthy food, look into it. It's a big subject to look into, regenerating the soil, but it's an important thing that we need to do. And as you're doing it, this is helping to nurture the plants in the most beautiful way, to have that food that's as local as it can be, as healthy as it can be, so that we're putting our whole system in that harmony and in that peace. I think that's part of peace on your plate.
Definitely. I think, if things are being grown with pesticides, this isn't a very peaceful thing to be done for our bodies either. There's just been a lawsuit against Monsanto.
Oh, don't talk about it.
I think it was 289 million for a gardener who used Roundup and got cancer. Yeah,
there's over 10,000 lawsuits pending against this. The thing is with this, we don't get too deep into the rabbit hole with all this stuff. These are just things that are going on. I think what you can do in a positive way is you can have organic food, and the best way to do it is to grow yourself. The second best way, I think, is if you get a community projects, a community allotments. Our friend John Barker, the vegan forest gardener, he is an award-winning grower of organic food, and just wonderful things, advice from so many people out there. Isn't it interesting? Monty Dunn, Gardener's World, it's organic. Carol, Gardener's World, organic. Alan Titchmarsh, been promoting organic gardening for about 20 years. The biggest figures in TV gardening. Bob flowered you organic for how long?
The thing is, they're all
know, organic.
don't they, that, if you're gardening, you have to respect nature. If you're growing things, you have to respect the cycle of nature. And part of that cycle of nature is the birds, the bees, the bugs, all of these things. They all interplay in the whole system. And if you start messing with it and playing God, which is what we're doing when we're putting pesticides on and things like this and herbicides, is we're messing with this cycle of nature.
GMO.
So this is affecting the quality of the food, the quality of the earth, and we don't want to do that. So for me, putting peace on our plate starts with our connection to the earth, then it's our growing. How is the food that you're eating being grown?
Yeah, and exactly. Like, what environment is it grown in? Like your soya that you're having, you vegan, your soya that they're cutting down rainforest to plant soya. And I went to a talk by a leading vegan, expert, and he said, oh yeah, and most of the soya goes to feed the chickens, and that's why we should eat chicken and all this. And I wanted to put my hand up and say, yeah, but what about all the soya that they're cutting down the rainforest for and destroying habitat and killing animals for, so you can have your soya burger?
But ultimately, I think a big part of it is that we have to have peace for everyone in their choices. So having an aggressive attitude towards anyone isn't the way to go forward. So I think we have to look at how much we're growing, what we're growing, and where we're getting that food from. One of the things that I heard that I liked was that if we... the choices obviously we make with the purchases that we make have a big implication effect on on the environment. And I read something recently that said if you buy cacao, fair trade cacao, you're actually helping to save the rainforest because it has to grow in rainforest conditions. So actually by buying fair trade cacao, you're actually supporting it not being chopped down, which is a really cool thing.
And buy soya products that aren't from places where they're cutting down the rainforest for the soya. Find out about
quinoa. We can buy quinoa from Britain or France.
We can buy chia seeds. One of the things I'd like to talk about as well in terms of this this piece is the different foods that you can eat, a piece on your plate. And the yogi has a sattvic diet, and they say that these foods promote the peace. So principally it's fruit and vegetables, it's pulses, it's nuts and seeds. Traditionally they'd have honey and dairy products. So let's talk about those things there. A lot of the people, the plant-based world, the vegans, ooh. So let's talk about honey. No harm has to come to the bees in any way in the production of honey. You don't have to. What's veganism? It's about doing the least harm, living the kindest way as you can. That's, I think, is the definition of it. The thing about the milk's an animal product. What's the milk for? It's for the baby animal. That's what the milk's for. It's just how it is. But in the some places throughout the world, the families might have an animal, or might have a yak or a goat or something, I don't know. And it's part of their life, it's part of their survival, and it's just loved so much.
I think when it comes to dairy, the dairy industry, what we don't want the animals being artificially inseminated. We don't want the animals being forced into any of this horrible stuff. Yeah, that's not peace in any way, shape or form. But
locally, Roy Threadgold, I mean, if you want to go and see animals, like in the sort of North Essex area, Roy Threadgold, in Wethersfield there, the guy loves his animals. He's just absolutely, there's so much love for it. I think that's part of it as well. It's where there's that love. It's where there's that.
Totally.
Where there's that, because that's peace. I mean, we don't have dairy products and eggs, and if we ever have honey, it's just in a medicinal, for medicinal purposes, from a bee man. There's no harm that comes to the animals, but it's a big subject. How to put peace on your plate. And I hope you've enjoyed this little...
Well, there's a few more bits that I want to talk about before we finish.
Please do, yeah. Well, just let's hope the battery's not going to run out. It's on its last legs.
So, we've talked about growing and the importance of that. But one of the things that's so important is that when we're doing, when we're having food, when we're preparing that food, first of all, our energy and our thoughts and our feelings are really important. So if we prepare it in a space of love. And then when we consume food, if we're consuming food when we're angry or we're stressed out, this is going to have an impact on how that food affects our body. So one of the things that you can do, which is a really beautiful and simple thing, is to take a moment before you eat and to think about why you're grateful for your food, to connect with that food energetically, physically, with all your senses. Look at it and honour the earth and say thank you for providing this food. And eat in that conscious space, because this is one thing that so often we don't do. We don't have that consciousness around food. So putting peace on your plate really has to come in all these different ways.
When you can get all you need from the plants and the trees, well, isn't it time we start all the killing? Has a soul, let's choose a kind of road, live in harmony with our surroundings.